three different stages. First stage was pre-nation. Before he got in the nation, he admits that he was in the underworld kind of activity. And some people, I can't remember whether he said it or somebody else said he was a pimp or whatever, you know. Then he got into the nation, which required a different kind of discipline. So when Malcolm X was in the nation, he shed a lot of the old habits that he had before, and he became, you know, a real leader among those other people. He had his experiences in jail and other kinds of situations. But his leadership in the nation, which is very strict and very disciplined, and they have a way of getting people to bring out the best character in them, these people, and he was one of those. Malcolm X then is post-nation. So the third stage of Malcolm, I think the autobiography was written too soon, okay? So they left him with the second stage. But the third stage, he actually was moving towards Martin Luther King. He called Martin Luther King a whole lot of names, you know, laughed at him, picked at him, and said that he was a handkerchief head, Uncle Tom, and all that kind of stuff, etc. And that he was only concerned about middle class, you know, black folks, but Malcolm was with the people, you know, that kind of thing, etc. And the last time I saw Malcolm X, he was in Selma, Alabama. We're in the midst of our voter registration campaign. Martin Luther King was in jail. Malcolm had a speaking engagement over at Tuskegee Institute, then, it's university now. And Malcolm went over, he came over to Selma, Alabama, to see Martin Luther King in jail, but they wouldn't allow him to visit Martin Luther King in jail. So we were having a mass meeting. So the question was whether or not they were going to allow Malcolm X to speak at the mass meeting. And so there was a big kind of conflict, controversy. I was there, and I said, yeah, come speak. Well, we don't know what else. I said, listen, if you have a non-violent movement going, and Malcolm X can come over and make one speech and turn the whole thing to violence, you haven't done anything. So all your stuff didn't mean anything anyway. Okay? I said, let him speak. I want to hear him. He came down here to see Martin Luther King in jail. Obviously, you know, he was trying to get close to Martin Luther King. He might go visit somebody in jail. Okay? So we finally compromised and we allowed one person to speak before Malcolm and one person to speak after Malcolm. I can't quite remember at my age who spoke before Malcolm, but Mrs. King, Coretta Scott King, spoke after him. I remember that. So we finally agreed on a compromise. Malcolm didn't know what was going on, but anyway. When he got up to speak, the one thing he said that I remember, I don't remember all the other stuff, he said, and he was pointing his finger at the media, because they had a big camera up there, you know. He was in the pulpit in Brown Chapel. And so Malcolm spoke at Brown Chapel. Okay. He said, you had better listen to Martin Luther King, because if you don't, you're going to have to listen to me. Now, is that support or not? Okay? So, but then he said something else. This was 2 weeks before his assassination. He said, I'm going back to Harlem and I'm going to identify the people who are going to assassinate me. He said, I'm a marked man. And sure enough, okay? No sooner than he stepped up to the podium in Harlem, he was shot and killed, even though everybody came through the door was searched. So you can draw your own conclusions. But all he was able to say, and he said he was going to name them. So everything he got to say was, my brothers and sisters. And he took him out. So that's my experience with Malcolm, and a number of those who were assassinated during that period, about 7, I believe. Okay? But Malcolm had gone to Mecca. I don't know how he didn't have this information, because he was a smart fellow. But he didn't know he had Muslim brothers who had blonde hair and blue eyes. And when he went to Mecca, he found out that all this, how many, this large number of his Muslim brothers, okay, weren't all looking like him, But that was the kind of genesis of his change in being able to look at things. Had both of them lived, they would have joined together in the movement, and things would have happened earlier had they lived. And Robert Kennedy, was another one doing it